On today's episode of Watch Chair Go, I buy the worst example of the best lawnmower in the world. What is going on, guys? I am Watch Chair Go, and today I am here with my new lawnmower. And I know you guys love Watch Chair Mow. We've done plenty of videos with like my John Deere 110 and just a bunch of mowing and stuff in the past. But today I bought the world's greatest lawnmower. Now, many people may disagree, but I promise you they're wrong. Walker mowers are the best finish mower there is, except for maybe reel mowers, but we're not golf course owners here. We don't need reel mowers. So let's talk about this thing. So this is a 2009 Walker T23 that needs everything on the planet. Just a quick look around it, and it might look pretty complete, but I promise you it's not. We showed up yesterday to buy this $20,000 mower, and it was rough, absolutely in pieces. And we're not even talking about the visual stuff like the seat needing just replaced, maybe reupholstered, but probably replaced. The fact that all the decals and print are somehow missing, or the fact that just a lot of other stuff's missing, like this bearing cap or the spring cover that keeps it from binding up in your clothes. Pretty important, actually. Just a lot of stuff was missing. The battery was missing when we showed up to buy this thing. And you might be saying, well, why did you buy it then? Because it was only $2,200. And to replace it today, it's about $19,000 on Walker's website plus tax. Now, it didn't cost all that much back then. This is from 2009. And if you were mowing in that era, you know these things were about $10,000 back then. I guess we're calling it inflation. But back in the day, Eric and I ran a lawn service together. We did apartment complexes, tons of residential, and as much commercial as we could, because obviously residential mowing is not a place you want to be these days. Pretty much everyone's quit that game. If you're a part of the mowing industry, you know there's just no money in residential unless you get an entire HOA. It's like the only way it works. If you can send a crew out and they don't have to move for the whole day. Otherwise, there's just not enough money to cover the cost. Now you need, what, 5 $20,000 mowers. You're gonna have 2 on every trailer at least. You need a spare. So racks of new weed eaters, blowers, expensive trailers, $80,000 trucks. It costs a lot to run a mowing crew these days. And that's why there's really no money in residential mowing. But when you're doing residential mowing and you need it to look like a golf course, you pick a Walker every time. We've spent a bunch of time on all the other mowers. I love Hustler. I'd say Hustler is probably my second favorite just because of the way they ride. Ferris's with their suspension, Hustlers with their front wheel suspension, all kinds of great mowers. I'll pretty much ride anything but a John Deere or an Exmark. I really don't like the way the John Deeres ride, but Walker's it when you want perfect stripes. The counter-rotating blades on the deck are what makes these things look like it's 2 push mowers being pushed at the same time, which is amazing. There is a downside to this mower. You need the 3rd wheel to be the big solid one to get perfect stripes, and unfortunately this has the dual rear wheel. So we're probably gonna change that. But like I said, 2009 Walker, powered by a 23 horsepower Kohler Command, carbureted. These are optional fuel injection. This is the carbureted one. Honestly, I think the carbureted one is where it's at. But let's get in here and start talking about what this mower needs. Then we can get out and do some actual Watch Chair Mow. Probably not today though, it's really rough. So first things first, this is not the grass handling system. Walkers do look better with the bagger. I strongly prefer the bagger, but everybody hits the bagger on walls and mailboxes and stuff like that. So they are always torn up when you're buying a used one. So this one has the bed, it's okay. I am planning on discharging this whole yard because for now, it's just weeds anyway. But let's hop in here under, look at this. The hood struts kind of work. Pretty crazy. And then we can unlock the seat, and that strut is actually good, so that's something. We've got one win here on this mower, but this thing was scavenged for parts by the previous owners, and that's part of the reason we got such a good deal on it. The battery's missing, this belt's missing, this belt's off, this was the air cleaner unhooked, the end of the air cleaner here, the big cap that makes the snorkel be the air intake instead of the filter itself, that's missing, and honestly hard to find and expensive. It looks like this should be the air filter minder here. I think it's broken. It looks like the cap's missing or something like that, so that's never a good sign. What else we have here? The hydros look a little bit wet. So the hydrostats drive each wheel from this belt. So this belt comes off the engine, runs this jack shaft right here, brings the power over here. There's a fan missing on this hydro, and this fan is ruined. Look at that. Fan looks horrible. But those fans push air over the hydros, keep them cool on those hot days. But this is always running, and the hydrostats do all the drive magic right there. They have these big, like portal axles almost, to drive them. Pretty cool. It's just a drop gearbox there. Lots of electronic stuff on walkers. You got a voltmeter there to make sure it's charging. The oil pressure alarm that just screams at you. It's probably Walker's biggest downside on these. It's so loud. And then oil and cylinder head temp warning there in case the engine gets too hot. That's honestly really great. This one does not have the lights, even though it has the switch. It also doesn't have the right key. This is clearly a John Deere key, the NDAC. I'm sure you guys have all seen plenty of those. If you've been around any equipment, that John Deere key was very, very universal. Looking around the T23 here a minute ago, I noticed that the bolts are not in the wheel. So we were not riding it, but we were pushing this thing around and it didn't look like it had any issues, but every bolt is fully backed out of that wheel there. So that's not great. Everything needs greased. It just hasn't really been taken care of there, but we have the 42-inch deck. It's a good setup. It'll fit through almost any yard. So hard to be upset about that. Then I headed over here to the fuel tank because I looked inside and was like, huh, the pickup's missing. Well, the pickup's not missing, but the tubing on this looks horrible. The pickup's right there. I know it's probably not gonna focus on it, but it is a screen that sits all the way in the bottom of the tank. And then there's all this buildup on the tube that just falls off. So years and years of built up rust or just bad gas, but take a look at that. So that's the pickup in the gas tank. It looked incredibly rough and the rubber fell apart. There's a bunch of trash in the gas tank too, so we need to get that thing completely out of here and get it cleaned up. There's actually quite a bit of work to get the gas tank out of here. We got to remove the snorkel, and then there's bolts that pin the tank into this holder here. It's actually quite a bit of work to get the gas tank out, but we're probably going to start with that just because we bought it with it saying it needed carb work. Well, it was 100% out of gas. The gas stinks like varnish. And of course, you guys just saw how dirty the tank was. So there's a lot of work to do before we even make that work, including replacing that hose on the pickup there. So we'll get the snorkel all apart and we'll get that cleaned up and we'll get the tank cleaned up, and that's the beginning of our journey towards making this walker live again. I did hear it run. It sounded amazing. He started on starting fluid, which is unfortunate. So we need to get it running on gasoline as quickly as we can so we don't cause future problems with that starting fluid sitting in the cylinder there. So first things first, let's go get a battery. We're gonna make a trip to O'Reilly's, pick up a battery, and hopefully we can get this thing running. Just for a minute or two by dumping some gas in this line here. And if we start there, well, we'll be well on our way towards getting this Command running again. Super reliable, nice V-twin engine. And then we need to change the oil, fully service this engine, and just move on towards fully servicing this entire mower. Needs to look good again too. It has 1,778 hours on it, just past the freedom hours right there, 1776. Unfortunately, we really should have asked for a discount just because it was 2 hours past freedom. I know we're headed to O'Reilly's first to pick up a battery, but before we do that, I might as well get some fuel line as well. So let's clean this thing up. I was touching it with my hands, but you guys know that fuel varnish on your hands. Not great. I like that the fuel pickup tube is metal into the tank. I'll give them credit for that. All right, that's looking much better. Still need to find a way to replace this, even though it's not completely trash. It'll probably hold up a little bit longer, but at some point we need a new rubber bushing there, rubber grommet. It's still pliable, and we need to clean up that pipe. Daniel's up there doing his magic, guys. This is my Hacky fuel strainer cleaning system. O'Reilly's Carb Clean, obviously, with the straw pushed all the way in there so I can blast all the gunk out of there. I know it doesn't want to focus. There you go. But I am slowly, you can see the white came back. That was all covered up. I'm slowly getting all of the varnishy fuel out. It is pumping like straight brown green goo out of that thing. Well, we got the pickup tube cleaned out. Tons and tons of carburetor cleaner went through there until this was crystal clear again. And now we're ready to pull our tank. So I pulled one of the pinch bolts out right there, and I went ahead and got the snorkel off. So the snorkel is ready to come out of the mower there. Kind of nice, it keeps the air intake way up high instead of in the grass stream. And then there's one more bolt on the inside of this thing way underneath here. So no real way to get to this other than taking a ratchet wrench and doing the impossible. You can't see the bolt at all. Hey, we got it. I didn't even think I did. All right, so now this thing should be loose. Hey, we got the fuel tank out. This is delicious. Yeah, buddy. I know everybody loves to see results, so let's jump in here and take a look at the tank. There it is, all cleaned out, ready to go back together. And another thing everybody will love about Walker is these things are truly like the most commercial service designed unit there is. Every single shaft that moves has a grease zerk, grease zerk, grease zerk, grease zerk, 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 zerk. I mean, there's like 50 grease points on this mower. Basically every single thing there is serviceable, and there's a parts diagram for it that you can get to instantly, and it'll last forever if you take care of it and run their maintenance schedule, which, speaking of, look at that. Who else puts that on their mower? Well, it's time to put the fuel tank back together. I am gonna reuse that old grommet for now. Maybe later on, I'm thinking about powder coating the entire frame. We'll take it back apart and swap out that grommet there. But I think with a little bit of grease, it'll seal just fine, and we'll be ready to maybe run it after we get a battery. It's battery day here in the back of O'Reilly's. This looks like what we need for the Walker, right?
Yep, that's it. That's
Perfect.
your guy.
Well, thanks.
Cold cranking.
Awesome. Thanks, Levi.
You're welcome, brother.
I'm getting out of here. One quick trip to O'Reilly's. We got grease too. We picked up a little bit of that. We got my battery, so hopefully this thing is ready to run right now. And we're back from O'Reilly's over here with the Walker. We've got our Superstart lawn and garden battery, the big one, the 350 cranking, cold cranking amp hour battery here. We're gonna throw that in here in just a moment, but I also picked up a new tube of grease for the grease gun, some Molly from O'Reilly's as well. And we're gonna hit as many of these grease points as we can, especially this one that's impossible to get to, before we put the fuel tank back and start reassembling everything here. It might run, you know, he sold it to us with carb problems, but there was no fuel in this mower. So I'm kind of thinking after we dump like 5 gallons of fuel in that tank, maybe she runs. So let's hit all these grease zerks, jump to the time lapse. My bad, I got a little bit ahead of you guys here. I just got back from the Walker store, which luckily is about 30 seconds from my house. I kid you not, the Walker store, I could walk there in a minute or 30 seconds on the bike. And they had almost every part we needed in stock. So as you know, we talked about the huge list of stuff this thing needed just a few minutes ago. And we've got most of it. So they had the battery hold down in stock. I was mind blown at that. I still need the blades. I should really go back and see if they have a set of hydrostat blades, because you have to take the battery back out to change the hydrostat fans, and they're counter rotating. Each fan goes a different direction because the belt drive is the same direction, right? They had the battery hold down. They had the key, the proper key, and not the John Deere key we were using. So if we put this in here, look at this. Oh, so much better. That John Deere key was basically a pry bar. That's what it was being used as. And then they also had our air filter cover. Unbelievable. I did not think that was going to be in stock. So that's a 588-11 right there. And it sits in here like so and just clips on. And then they had our drive belt too. For the T23, it's a 6250. And this one is a 3/8 belt, I think. Maybe this one's a 1/2 inch belt. There's 3 different belts on this thing, and luckily they have them all in stock. But I am headed back there because as soon as I started talking to you guys, I remembered, of course, those fans. I need to pick them up. I think they're only about $10, $15 each, so it's no big deal. And I also could really use that guy right there, the air filter minder. So I think we're in about $100-ish at maximum, getting all the parts for this, and $100-ish at O'Reilly's for that tube of Molly grease, and we need, oh, and the gearbox oil and the battery. So $200 to fix this thing? Insane if it works. It probably still needs a carb, but we're gonna find out here in a minute. Well, I sure wasn't expecting this because I didn't look up how to do it or anything, but the idler that tensions the drive belt, look at this. You literally just push down on it and throw the belt on. You could do that easily out in the field. And of course, the deck clutch here is the easiest thing ever too, because you can release it with the lever. And another cool thing, there's a belt down here that rides on the shaft that drives the deck. And if you push down on this, it literally will stop the blades quick. It's like a leather belt that will just catch it and shut it down. So up is engaged, down will lock the deck blades. Really cool. Back from the Walker dealership one more time, and now we have the cap. Well, we should have got both caps. That one's got a dent in it.
Yeah, what do you only bought one cap?
Well, he handed me one cap and I was like, fine. It was like $1, so of course I got one cap.
Go get your rubber mallet.
There we go, I used my rubber mallet. Can you push it in?
No, you're supposed to grease it when you put it on. I told you that yesterday.
Oh, that's fine. I greased.
I was a certified walker mechanic.
He was. I greased the wheels, so we're good there. We also picked up the hydrostat fans. I think these were only $15, which is kind of incredible. So we got the fans and we got the cap, and we pretty much have every single thing to make this run except the carburetor may still have an issue. So we're gonna find out here in just a moment after I hook the battery up. So nice.
When you look at the damage on there, no, it was me.
You trying to get back at me for something here?
Oh, you remember when you scratched my rim?
So I'm gonna go buy the whole kit to change this over to AMSOIL, I think. They have a new 300-hour kit for the Command 23 that's AMSOIL and a Kohler filter. Super special.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
I know, I figured it's fine. But we, of course, greased every single Zerk in this thing, about 5 million of them.
I need to go buy a bolt.
No, it's not. They ripped the threads out of that.
I see it.
But I got everything's back together. Air filter cover's on, and we just need to get the deck belt on, and then put some gas in this, hook the battery up, and try to run it.
Do you feel better about your deal after you've seen a 10-year-older one that was more hours?
We went to the Walker dealership, and they have one with double the hours that they just offered me for $1,000 with no deck.
And a decade older.
A decade older. It was 1999, 2000, like the first year of Walker. And it was still worth $1,000.
There's 80s Walkers.
Are there really?
I was like, so they got bigger as they went on. All the early Walkers had like little exhaust covers that had rivets that went, or holes that went like this.
Yeah.
So you know if you have one that says hot and they're like this is a newer gen.
That one definitely says hot.
And it's a smaller, if you pay attention, it's got smaller rims.
Yeah. And
it's got more tread on the tires, and they've went wider with, you know, less meat on them. So
right.
this is a whole another ball game, and he wants $1,000 for that one.
It's still not a bad deal because he has a nice seat, and I want the seat, so we're thinking about buying another mower just to buy a seat.
Well, and the engine's probably worth all of it, and it's got low hours on the engine.
That one also was a 20 horse, but it's been swapped to a 23.
Yeah. So what he's offering you a solid back wheel, which we know is 200 to 250.
We need the wheel.
He's offering you a seat, which is another 200.
And an engine.
But really, other than that, I mean, there's not a lot on there.
We could put the rest of it in the iron trailer and be done with it.
So really, I mean, he's giving you a good deal.
Yeah, we might buy another one. What's annoying though is I just went and bought the key, and that one they just put a new key in it too. Oh, so he's giving me a new key.
But you will, like, you'll get it. And then be like, I gotta have, you'll want to fix it, then you'll want it too.
Yeah,
that'll be the problem. But you know what? These bring the money, especially when they run. And he was saying the same thing, like the resale on these is crazy. A new Walker is 20 grand.
Right, I know. After we fix this one, it'll probably sell for $6.
Oh yeah.
Just cleaned up and fixed.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the kid took some parts off it, but no major components.
Yep.
Everything we were just buying was $5.
Oh, the other one had a dead hydrostat. A dead hydrostat. That's what's the hydrostat? $2,000. I think so.
That's too much. So that engine that mower's worth the engine, the seat.
Yeah,
and some parts.
And having one spare hydrostat, because the hydrostats are worth thousands.
Oh yeah. The hydrostat. I mean, it's not a bad deal. Maybe we go over there and say 900.
Even though he just offered us the wheel I want.
I know.
I want the back wheel.
He's like,
this wheel is terrible. I don't care what anybody says. That wheel is a joke. You have to have the wide one because it stripes your yard better. It makes it look like you had 3 push mowers go through at once. The key to having a good yard is push mowing, and this is the closest thing you get to push mowing.
That tire is good.
That tire is good, but I figured I'd just change them both.
Just put one on.
Change them both.
One.
Change them.
This tire's bad.
Let's make this thing run.
So
that tire is gone.
He either does left turns very, very hard all the time, or that's a new tire.
This is some standard NASCAR driving. Let's see if Eric can get this belt on here, guys. It's a whole thing. I think I got it all the way on all the other pulleys, but we just needed to shove it super hard. Man, that belt is hard to get on there. That's probably gonna do it though. It looks like you got it. Oh, nice. That's it.
I felt like that's how we used to do it.
It took me so long just to get it around this little gap right there, but that's it. Lift up on her. Does she lock in? Nice. We've got a deck. Eric's hooking the battery up right now, and I'm getting the fuel tank back in, even though it's a bit of a two-person job. The shield tries to fall off all the time. The shield is there to keep belts and the heat from the engine from going through your gas tank, which is pretty critical. But this is the other hydrostat fan that's a little worse for the wear right there. There's nothing left of that thing.
That was fine.
Run it. The only reason I changed this one is because it was hitting the new battery mount and I didn't want it to scratch it up. More fun news, guys. There's a hole in the tank. That is cool.
Eric did it.
Well, no. I think it did it. We should get this out of here, dude. Look at the puddle. Huge. Well, there was a hole in the side of our gas tank, as you can clearly see from the giant puddle on the floor. So, we poured the gas back into our gas jug here, which now, is it buried? Maybe? Yeah, you might have to go under that metal support to pull it off. That might work. All right, try it again, dog. Maybe we start on starting fluid just to... I pulled the hose off the gas tank. Hey, it runs so well. Yes.
That carb tune is pretty good, I think.
The carb is perfect.
All the way.
All right, let's flip it down. You drive it, and I'll run behind you.
Gas tank is full.
Yeah.
Both hydros work.
Both hydros work.
Give yourself a little throttle.
Uh-oh. I'm sprinting back here, dog. Fire it up.
Ready for this?
I'm ready.
That classic sound. As soon as you go in. So you can just funnel yourself gas, and then you can ride it for a couple minutes. But
If I keep a whole can of gas right here, I can just splash it.
yeah, you could. Literally a mason jar hooked to a hose, and you could probably mow the yard.
Probably not our greatest fuel filter idea, but
No, but
sure works great.
the carb rebuild is perfect.
Yeah, the carb is amazing. And of course, I found a little more trash in the fuel pickup, luckily, because we pulled it back out, and I was able to get that out by flipping it upside down and draining all the fuel. So, fuel pump, I guess.
I think that's a win.
I honestly, I really wonder if it just won't prime. It must take a year to prime this pump. So there's a good chance if we just fill this up and get a new tank, because we do need the new tank. The new tank's got a fuel gauge.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, if we went and got a new tank and primed these lines, we might be ready to rock. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjaguar.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please, like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time.
Now you have to buy a snow plow.
Oh, no.
It's got the plow attachment.
I want the dethatcher. I don't want the snow plow. I definitely want the dethatcher.
Yeah.
We need that.
You can put pretty much any attachment on this and go.
Yes, sir. I love that.
She sounds good.
Man, we got a wire up through right here. There is some kind of safety or it needs an ignition switch.
I think it's an ignition switch.
Could be.
If you push hard on it, it doesn't want to start. If you're easy on it, it'll start. And the key's not fitting like it should. Yeah. It's the Ford of mowers.
It is. I'm a walker. I'm a walker.
Yeah.
I'm a walker.
The most annoying.
Yep.
Hey, that's a win though.
That's a win. Can't believe it. Well guys, we thought the fuel pump was okay because we fed it a bunch of fuel, but then when you think about that, if you're gravity feeding the fuel pump, it's probably gonna work. So there's a good chance this fuel pump here is shot, and there's also a good chance we're still getting a little debris out of this because I can see it when I pull it out. Just tiny little bits of black specks rolling through the clear hose, the Tygon we put on here earlier. And Eric's checking this wheel here to see what was going on. It doesn't look that bad.
No, they just weren't tight.
I thought the threads were going to be shot.
I wonder if they pulled the wheel. One's tight, the rest were loose.
Well, yeah, they stole the wheel and put it on another mower. That's what happened. That's what happened.
That's not even tight either.
Huh. I was able to move the wheel back and forth with my hand earlier, so that's never a great sign.
That's fine.
We need to change the oil, and we need to change the gearbox oils for all the deck and the gearbox oil for the deck drive system. We found a hole in the case here, and this cover that sits on the front of the engine is pretty integral into this thing because there's a fan right here on the flywheel, and it pushes air over the heads, right? Well, there was a giant hole knocked out of the plastic here, and if there's a hole, all the air can go out the side instead of back out the head, which is obviously an issue. We want the air cooling the engine so this thing lasts a long time. So Eric grabbed the air ducts out of a car we just tore down and cut me a little slot out of that, and then I just plastic welded that back into the factory cover, and now we've got a nice permanent piece of plastic. We're just gonna form this with the heat gun a little bit, push it over so it totally connects, plastic weld it a couple more times, and that is a brand new guard made for free. So that's the best way to fix this thing. I mean, we could change the whole engine cover, but why? I thought about buying that parts mower just to get the engine cover, but we could really have two mowers. So the free fix is pretty solid. When you need one of those low profile drain pans and you don't want to go to the Harley store and buy one or some nonsense like that, just take your coolant jug, cut the side out of it with a razor blade, boom, you even get a cap, you can still drain it down. Just make sure you don't have more than a gallon of oil. I know this might look stupid, but this is AMSOIL, guys. So I'm not part of the AMSOIL cult or anything like that. I definitely am not about it. But Walker sells this kit and recommends running their mowers 300 hours on this stuff. So we're gonna run it.